How's it going, everyone? My name is Spencer, aka Agent Mulder, and welcome to the War Room. Today we continue our adventure in Doom Eternal. In our third tips and tricks video on this game, we're going to be talking about the Praetor token, new upgrades I've gotten, along with the Sentinel Crystal upgrades, 3 key weapons, their upgrades, and how best to use them, how to take down those hellish Marauders, and then finally what you can expect from late game Slayer gates. All that and more straight ahead. And keep in mind, some spoilers will be shown here as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Let's talk about the Sentinel Crystal upgrades. So 2 new Sentinel upgrades that I invested my time into, which I highly recommend that you jump into, are called Quick Draw Belch and Napalm Belch. Both of these upgrades go directly towards your flamethrower. The Quick Draw, once it's unlocked, cools down the weapon a lot faster, and the Napalm allows the flame to last a lot longer on enemies. Combining this with your Ice Bomb and other upgrades will allow you to stay in the fight a lot longer, and allow you to collect armor from downed foes, especially in those tight situations in the later levels. Speaking of the Ice Bomb, let's quickly take a look at the Praetor tokens wheel. Now in my past videos I recommend that you definitely invest as much time as you can in the Ice Bomb. I have now fully upgraded my Ice Bomb to where now my ice does a little extra damage and actually keeps my enemies frozen for a lot longer. Comboing this, I also spent some of my other remaining tokens on my dash upgrades, allowing my dash to recover a lot faster, and also how my dash gets refilled after every time I perform an execution. Comboing your Ice Bomb and your Flamethrower along with your dash ability is so essential, especially in the late game Slayer gates. As you can see, total hell on earth will be unleashed upon you in these later challenges. Everything from Doom Hunters, Marauders, Demon Knights, and basically everything else that you've known in the Doom universe will be thrown at you. But so long as you can freeze them, light them on fire, and dash away from your opponents long enough to regain health and armor, these abilities will keep you alive in the fight a lot longer. So the 3 new weapons I'd like to talk about in this video, let's first talk about the Plasma Rifle. Now I know the Plasma Rifle you've picked up very early on in this game, but one of the unique upgrades I haven't talked about yet is the Microwave Beam. The Microwave Beam is great use whenever you're taking on heavily armored foes, but more importantly though is that when you lock onto your target and shoot them with this beam, no matter what type of enemy it is, it will automatically freeze in place as it's being shot by the beam. The best way to combo this beam effect to where you're not using up all of your energy is to do a little bit of damage onto your opponent at first. Say a few shots with your shotgun, or even a few shots from your rocket launcher. Once your opponent chills some significant damage, take out your plasma rifle and hit them with a microwave beam. This beam will not only freeze them in place as they're being shocked by the beam, but you can also look below right underneath the reticle to see how much health the enemy still has left. This has saved me so much when I'm fighting against Marauders or other heavily tanked enemies, especially in the Slayer gates. But even during the regular campaign, this has saved my butt so many times. I recommend comboing this with either the Ice Bomb or the Flamethrower. That way you're also collecting enough health and ammo while you're using the microwave beam. Because keep in mind, while you're beaming a certain enemy, you're wide open to attacks from other groups. Definitely use some points to upgrade the microwave beam so that not only does the charge time take less, but it also does a little extra damage. Now let's talk about the chain gun. Now having one minigun is really great, but imagine if you had a few extra barrels attached to this thing. That's exactly what the mobile turret is. Once deployed, this mobile turret can lay waste to groups of enemies in no time. Frozen, on fire, or even just in your way, this is an excellent tool to use, especially when you're low on health. The best way to use this weapon is to funnel your opponents down a long pathway or any type of choke point that you can find. I highly recommend that the chain gun mobile turret upgrade is the first thing you get for this weapon. And now finally, let's talk about the BFG 9000. Now the BFG 9000 has no upgrade mods attached to it. That's because the gun itself is already devastating enough as it is. One blast from this gun will pretty much wipe out any enemy you're facing, aside from bosses, Marauders, and Gladiators. The best way to utilize this weapon is during crowd situations only. The gun does not get replenished when you kill zombies to pick up ammo, or even performing executions on high value targets. Not to mention the fact that the BFG 9000 only allows you to carry 2 rounds of ammunition, so to say to be sparing with this weapon could be an understatement. So definitely use the BFG 9000 whenever you're caught in between battles with either a boss to where you can at least do some extra damage to it, or when you're funneling your enemies down a long corridor when you're low on health. Now, let's talk about my personal hatred for these type of monsters, the Marauders. These Marauders are shield-toting, sword-wielding monsters that are such a pain in the butt to fight in this game. How it is described to fight these monsters is, you cannot be too close to these Marauders or else they'll swing their swords at you doing extra damage. If you're too far away, they'll either cut the distance by quickly dashing towards you, shooting at you, or summoning a Hellhound to chase you down. Fighting Marauders can be very tricky. So far, I've discovered that certain key ways that you can defeat these creatures is by using either the Plasma Rifle Microwave Beam or your sawed-off shotgun. Now, using the Plasma Rifle Microwave Beam on these type of creatures is very tricky to use. The best time to use the beam, or any weapon for that matter on these creatures, is when their eyes glow green when they're about to make an attack. If you're able to lock on and hit them with the beam, they won't go back to turning on their shield, they'll simply just stay frozen in place as they're getting zapped. This is very difficult to do, especially considering the fact that they can turn their shields on very quickly even after their eyes glow green, but I have done this a few times. But the number one way to kill these Marauders is to use your sawed-off shotgun. The best way to do this is to keep the Marauder dead in your sights. Don't try to do side-to-side combat with this guy because he will dash side-to-side with you, making it very difficult at times to get the glow of his green eyes and to hit him at the same time, because he will turn his shield on very quickly, which can make fighting this guy very annoying. Keeping the Marauder in front of you, doing a simple forward and back motion with him as he takes a swing at you and then shotgunning him will actually down him very quickly. The Marauder can take a lot of damage, and the best way to tell when he's near death is when not only is his armor on his chest gone, but both chunks on his upper chest and lower chest and arms is visibly showing. The best way to get the Marauder to do this back and forth motion with you is to get him in a closed-in space. That way he doesn't have the ability to dash around you, he'll have to go forward and back with you. Once you got the Marauder quartered, simply do the back and forward motion with him, getting him to swing at you when you back off, either dashing back very quickly, and then dash forward when his eyes glow green and shoot him with your shotgun. Keep in mind that during the course of the game, when you fight the Marauder, there will be other enemies around. I recommend clearing out any enemies first, keeping zombies and lower enemies alive so you can run up to them, chainsaw them, and get extra health and ammunition, because you will need it. The Marauders take not only a lot of damage, but they can dish it out to you as well. Follow these simple but useful tips, and you will take down Marauders in no time. And now finally, let's talk about some late game Slayer Gate challenges. The final two Slayer Gate challenges you'll encounter in this game will teleport you to different parts of the map. What I've mentioned before in previous videos when it comes to upgrading your Ice Bomb, Flamethrower, the Ballista with the Destroyer Blade, the chaingun with the mobile turret, the rocket launcher with the lock-on burst. These key weapons along with their upgrades will be your best possible chance of conquering these Slayer Gate challenges. As you can see, the mayhem that you will be facing in these later challenges can be very extreme and very taxing. These late game foes can range anything between facing on against multiple Marauders, Doom Hunters, or oversized hellish creatures. These enemies can take a plethora of damage, but thankfully with these upgrades I've mentioned before and in this video, you will conquer these challenges. Not to mention the fact that my favorite rune upgrade, Blood Fuel, will keep you alive in the fight a lot longer, along with Saving Throw, especially when you're near death to where time will slow down and you'll be able to get a few more kills in and get some health to stay back in the fight. I do recommend that you do give yourself some patience in these challenges. There will be times that even despite the fact of all this other upgrades that can make life a lot easier for you, the enemies will be very tough. And that's all the time I have today, folks, on a new video on Doom Eternal. We'll hopefully be doing a review on this game very soon, but until then, I highly recommend you check out our other videos on this game, along with past videos I've done on this channel as well. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for a lot more. We'll be doing new videos as more games are released this year. Until then, thank you so much for watching.